Hello everyone, welcome to the Krypton Market installation procedure. I have tried this over 5 to 10 times now. I noticed that my microphone wasn't recording because of a stupid bug. I don't know why or whatever, but we're about to do what we need to do. So in the link in the description, it will lead to mediafire.com, to this file, kryptonmarket.zip. So what you need to do is you download the zip, obviously, and then you go to where it's downloaded. It's in the map, in the folder, alright, in my downloads in this case. And I'm going to place it in my Project Nomads folder because it's really easy to do that, and then it's more clear. I've already done it, I already have the working version, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Go to Project Nomads, then to Run, and Book. Right, there we go. And I'm going to paste it over here. I'm also going to open up the WinRAR in my case. I know it's a zip, but I use WinRAR. Please purchase WinRAR license. How about no? I don't think I need to. Okay? Good. So there are 4 items in this folder. Zip folder. Yeah, it is a zip folder, I guess. So first of all, there's this folder called Custom Chapters. And what you need to do is you need to put it into this thing, right? Okay, so I'm not going to do it because I already have it. Custom Chapters over here. Alright? But in Run/Book, and then you put the folder Custom Chapters over there, along chapter 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. Then there's the story.tcl, and that one replaces this one. Alright? So the main thing is there is one already, because that's what your game uses to load up the particular chapters in the game. But this one has an additional line, low chapter custom chapters, which is the one we just put into the folder. This is the one, this is the folder we just placed into the book. So custom chapter will be able to be loaded with this new story file. So replace the story file with this new story file. And then there's slot 20 and slot 20. Alright, these two are the save file that I have included within the zip folder here to allow you to play with the same save file like I did in the video. You'll see that the island is slightly tweaked with a few additional slots to build additional buildings. So if you want to use that one, you can. And then also you won't have to play throughout the entire ending level and ending cutscene or whatever. You can just use that one. Not that it matters that much, it will load up the setup level anyway after the ending cutscene with this new story file. But if you want to use the tweaked file, then you can do that. Now where you have to put that is over here in the save folder. So not in book anymore. You have to go back to Run and then Save. And you can see there are slots 1 to 20. And if you use 20, you'll replace these. So if you have a valid or an important save file there, it might be best to tweak this name first to slot 19 or whatever if you want a different save slot. But anyway, that is how you install it, and I wish everyone a great time watching the video. Thank you so much for installing Krypton Market. Hello everyone, welcome to Project Nomads. Finally, we're here, and I'm showing you a few clips here of a multiplayer level that I tweaked a little bit with all kinds of things. Don't worry about that, we're talking about the levels soon. There are 2 custom levels I'll be showing off to you. You've already seen the installation setup in the small video part that I've shown you. But anyway, so I know that there's been a long delay to upload these things, but that's because I've been sick, and school is also extremely busy. Anyway. Now you're seeing part of the save file here. This is the save file that should be included in the zip file. But this is basically a setup, a ready up, and you can tweak your island while you're at it. You can build additional towers if you want to, but the objective is not to. The objective should be that you don't have anything except a watchtower and a lighthouse. Anyway, we're moving in. So welcome to Krypton Market level 1. The story is that there's a market here, a well-known market. Krypton Market is the name of it. And we're going to board it to get additional artifacts. A few objectives: board the Krypton Market, collect artifacts to help your friendlies, defeat the enemy assault island, set off the nearest fortress to request reinforcements, to rebuild the Krypton Market, I believe. Now, as you can see, enemy assault, you can already guess what's gonna happen. Anyway. So as you can see, these are friendlies, don't worry about them, they will not attack you in any way. And I'm here to provide some extra developer commentary. I don't think I'll be talking all the way through everything, but that's just because sometimes there are moments where I don't have anything to say anymore. It's just me battling these enemies. It's important to note that the video itself was recorded before me commenting, so this is a voiceover, and I did that because I don't like talking to myself when there are people in the house. Right now I'm home alone, which makes more sense to me. But you can hear dramatic music in the background, and that means the enemy planes have started attacking, and they will keep respawning until a certain event happens. As you can see, there's a huge number of friendly towers attacking the back, but there are quite a few enemy planes with a few strength, so they'll be able to take down these towers eventually. And it's up to you to rebuild your island in time to assist your own friendlies over here. So I think that it's triggered in such a way that I think that if 6 buildings have been built on your island, then finally the enemy will start attacking more heavily, and then you'll be able to continue into the level. But we've done that just to give you enough time and enough buildings to get started. So you may be able to see a few things here. There are gigantic walls next to the fortress here, the Krypton Market. We've done that just to make it a bit more interesting. One mistake I made, though, in the development process is I didn't put any clouds or anything around the market, so it looks really open. There's nothing beyond the there's nothing beyond the market and its walls, which is a weird thing. You would think there would be more around, but that's not the case now. So it's kind of a development flaw, you could say, in this level. But I'm going to keep it this way because this is kind of how you can see the development process, how we developed these levels and how we improved upon our own levels. So I made the mistake of not creating an environment around the level, but I'll be able to do that in the second level. That's been improved and everything. So, anyway, I think we're about to hear some dramatic music because clearly we're coming near that the 6th building mark. Right now, in fact, I counted correctly. But as you can hear, there are additional sounds now. There's additional music in the background, and that means bad stuff. That tends to mean bad stuff. You can see enemy islands coming in, and they're coming from multiple angles. They are also heavily equipped, which sucks for the player. And they'll be able to take out the friendly towers even more quickly, so you should probably help your enemy. I don't think you should be helping your enemy, but you should be helping your friendly towers quickly by taking out the lighthouses. As you can see, these towers are not dying very quickly. That is because all their health levels have been tweaked. In the main game, normally those towers would go down in 2 hits from this plane, but that's no longer the case. We've tweaked all the stats of these towers a little bit, so they would be able to survive a bit more of a beating. And sometimes they're annoying now because they're quite difficult to beat, but it's better this way because it's better to have it a bit harder than in the main game. The main game is kind of easy. But not anymore. These custom levels are slightly harder for you to beat, and you'll have to put effort into it. So as you can see, these lighthouses have been tweaked a lot. They take a lot of hits before they go down. The objective is to take out the 5 lighthouses of these islands, and then finally the enemy planes will also start, or stop respawning, and then you should have assisted the market. The navigation point will also unlock when you've destroyed all the lighthouses, which in return also destroys all the islands with them. Now, a thing is that I believe that the towers of the islands here, the enemy islands, are specifically made to prioritize buildings, so they will not attack planes, unlike the standard version of towers. In the second level, that will be different. I don't think any towers were tweaked there to attack buildings first. But in this level, it's specifically done so your islands, and more specifically, the friendly islands, will also take a lot of damage, while your own planes could possibly be distracting them. But that's not the case anymore. Now there will be a lot of death and stuff. You can also notice that there's no true limit to the faction anymore. A few buildings of your own faction in the normal game are also used for the enemy now, and that's just because why not, right? The enemy, it doesn't matter who you're fighting here, it's just that it's the enemy and you need to battle them. There's no specific faction name we've come up with, but we might be able to do that in the future. But yeah, so another thing I can say is the level 1 Goliath tower that you were able to pick up, or I mean I picked it up and I used it a little bit, has a tweaked armor value, so it survives more hits, and some friendly towers will not be able to some enemy towers will not be able to damage it to begin with, and that is so it's kind of a wild card just in case there's a lot of danger. You could use that to survive a little bit longer. Alright, so as you can see here, there's another enemy island still firing, but luckily, I was going to say luckily, but there was one friendly tower left. That one's gone now, so there's pretty much nothing left to protect us. Now it's us, as the last man standing. Or last island standing, you could say. But luckily we're close to destroying the enemy anyway. We've destroyed most enemy islands already. The problem is, as you can see, the planes are dealing a lot of damage to you too. You can see these bombers, they've also been tweaked. They have a little bit additional health, so they don't go down too easily anymore. We've got John planes flying around. There are also Stukas flying around because, you know, a whole variety of enemy planes will be fighting at you. Or fighting you, and then there are also Meg's gun towers, and there's a Goliath level 3 tower fighting your island and the friendly islands. So, it's a whole new world, alright? Everything's fighting each other. There's no specific limit to the faction now, which is interesting. Some of your friendly towers in the main game are great competitors to fight to fight your own towers. And that's why I made it that way. It's more interesting. I'm saying I mean we, but there's two of us, but oh well. The other one being Dead Worker, but you've probably already seen his name pop up. He was the one who brought it to my attention. You can tweak all these things, which is interesting. And from there we continue building. He brought it to my attention. You can fix your tweak save files and all, and then obviously one thing leads to another, and yay, custom levels. Alright, so you've seen that we've destroyed all the enemy islands. We're cleaning up the rest of the planes, but those are no longer respawning, luckily, finally. Look at that, still planes, look at that, they just keep coming. And the watchtower's on fire, of course, why would it not be? Alright, so finally, all the enemy planes and islands have been destroyed, but as you can see, there's not much friendly left either. Both docked islands have been destroyed. They've gone into the void. They've fallen into the void because their lighthouse was destroyed. There are no gun towers left on the Krypton Market. And that's the story. It was attacked brutally, and now it's time to rebuild this thing because it's quite honored in the world of your own faction. But who's left to do it, right? Who is left to do it? So, that is the story here. Level 1, you get attacked at the Krypton Market. You have to, well, basically survive. And then level 2 will be that you go through enemy territory and then you have to go to a nearby friendly fortress. Well, the nearest friendly fortress, and that way you'll be able to get reinforcements to come back, which is level 3, which isn't built yet. Level 2 has been built, but level 3 not so much. Level 3 will be that escort level with those friendly islands. You have to escort them. And then level 4 will be that you arrive at the Krypton Market again and hold off the even more enemy attacks, and more serious probably because there are more of you now, and stronger versions of you. In the hope that you can finally rebuild the Krypton Market again after your long, long adventure. And that would be the first campaign ever made. Or maybe not ever made, but I've never seen anyone make custom levels like this, so it would be interesting to see if we get more content in the I would say Project Nomads community, but I mean, who's left out there? Who's left out there? Who knows? Anyway. So, we're finally leaving the Krypton Market into the open world because there's absolutely nothing here for whatever reason. That's the mistake I talked about before. But yeah, so we're leaving the level and we'll be loading into level 2. And I'll catch you right away. Because I'm not going to speak the whole time, my voice is boring to listen to as it is. But this was quite hectic, there's a lot of information to give, so level 1 was a lot of talking. So, you can see tons of explosions. We're in level 2, we're finally here, we're nearing enemy territory. It's time to attack. So as you can see, the frontal entrance is actually heavily armed. It's heavily defended by multiple towers, 6 in total in fact. 2 are rocket towers, which essentially are able to destroy your planes in 2 hits, and same for your towers, because they're super powerful. There are 2 of them, so it basically is an insta-kill if they both hit. And then there are 4 machine guns just to annoy you a little bit more. The good thing about the balance of this is that they were tweaked slightly. Well, tweaked slightly, I mean, they were positioned in such a way that they cannot reach your lighthouse. Your lighthouse is not within range of those 2 rocket towers, which means that you're perfectly safe unless you let the machine guns do all the work, but that would take quite a while for your lighthouse to go down. So you're quite safe. It's not possible to die, really. I mean, it is possible, but it would take a very, very, very stupid player to cause that. Anyway, So, it's interesting because these towers are tweaked, right? Those two rocket towers, they use a different projectile than they would normally use. That is a tweaked thing. Same thing for the machine guns. There are actually two versions of the machine guns. One is an automatic tower, one is a non-automatic tower. You should have to manually control it. The automatic one is the one you see in the game that shoots at you automatically, but it's quite inaccurate. Is the machine gun has a bit more spread, and it's just not as accurate as the other one, which is the manually controlled one. And that one is used in the second level of defending the Skrits. Well, you know, that one with the portals and all, with the heat-seeking missile tower and everything. There's also a machine gun, and that one's manually controlled, but the spread is actually really accurate. So what have we done? We've gotten such an MG, we've got such a machine gun here, and those towers have been tweaked with that accurate pattern instead. So they fire way more accurately and they're way more threatening than the normal automatic version. We've also made them shoot automatically, because why not? And that makes them way more powerful and more interesting. They're more of a threat. They're still not a huge threat, but they're in numbers. You can put them in numbers and it gives a really nice, an interesting look. Just so many bullets flying in the air. So yeah, that is the tweak behind that situation and behind those towers. Alright, so we're about to bring up the objectives here. I'm just repairing my island because obviously lots of damage again. So let's see what the mission objectives are. I first have to save, of course. You can see that the bottom line of the save files are areas that aren't really familiar. Those are all customly made places and tests that I had. So, Krypton Market 2. Make your way through enemy territory towards the nearest fortress. The enemy is heavily armed. Repair your island frequently and be careful. So that nearest fortress I'm talking about is the third level where you finally arrive and you'll get those friendly islands as reinforcements. Good. So we have started. We're going to the first navigation point. I'm kind of proud of this here, what we made. I really like this lair, this little valley or whatever. And as you can see, the battle has begun. We are entering enemy territory, and there are plenty of enemy towers already in the air, and they're next to you too. We're about to see that. Up there they are. Very sneaky. So yeah, as you can see, they're prioritizing the plane. Oops, lots of rockets. And here's the first base. This base is heavily armed, and I don't know if I'll have to talk throughout the entire thing. You'll see. What I'm doing right now might seem insane, might seem like I'm a maniac flying around with a plane like the first time ever. But no, it's actually to distract the enemy towers. The enemy towers will prioritize planes in this level, just like it should be in the normal game as well, as by default. And that way my towers will have a few additional seconds to retaliate. As you can see, a few of the enemy towers have already been destroyed. A lot of mine have also been destroyed, because why not? That's normal. But your planes will be able to distract them a little bit, so that's good. I'm basically rebuilding my towers so I can finally fight back, because the other towers here on my island are also prioritizing the enemy planes. There are John planes and Goliath planes flying around, and they'll be able to deal a lot of damage very quickly, so taking out the hangars while you can is a good option. I've finally gotten Goliath level 3 towers here, and it appears that both of them are alive. I'm manually controlling this one over here, and we're definitely able to take out a lot of them. An additional bit of information here is that you can navigate your island around the island to the left and right. You can do both, doesn't matter. But there's one particular navigation point that isn't unlocked on the other side of the island yet. And you need to do that. You need to unlock it by destroying all the generators first on this island. As you can see, we have one more to go, so that should be fine. I think I'm about to stop talking here, because over here right now it's just me basically fighting the island, and there's much else to say. Except that there are a few towers left, like the Goliath level 1 towers over there in the back. They are fighting me, and they're dealing a lot of damage to my planes, but we'll find a solution to that with my guns very soon. And I'll be right back with you when we reach the next area, or reach a new particular spot in the level. So you're able to see we have finally advanced a little bit. Take a moment around and see that there are clouds. You might notice those clouds around the level. Obviously those are more interesting than just having a blank background, but in this case the clouds are just there to make it look more interesting. It's an environment you're playing in, and it's more interesting than just having that blank background of the level, the first level you've seen. So that's an improvement we've made. I would advise, just like I'm doing in this level, save regularly because you'll need it. It looks like this island is clear. We have finally destroyed everything here, and I'm using my plane again. You'll see an interesting thing though. I've attempted here. This was my idea to attempt the next thing I tried, but it's not really successful. Not gonna lie, it's not very successful. So that was the first time and the last time I'm going to do what I did. Let's see. I think I'm not going to show it regular, or not right away. I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, so we've got a few enemy flak guns over here that are very close to us. Now, here you go. That's what I wanted to show. I tried to use upside down towers, but it turns out that the firing angles aren't exactly what you would think they would be. So, epic fail right there. Crashed into the yacht like a little noob. But the firing angles are actually the exact same as if they would be... You know, how do I have to explain that? Right now they're upside down, but if they would be standing regularly, the firing angle is still the same, because it's a different object. It's not the tower shooting, it's actually a different particular... It's a turret version of the tower that's firing, and therefore the firing angle is still the exact same. So having an upside down tower doesn't change anything except making it look stupid, right? In fact, the towers as well, you may have seen it, the gun is actually pointed backwards too. So it's shooting one side, but the gun will be pointed the other way somehow. I don't know why that is, but I guess that's just a flaw in the game, and the game engine, that it doesn't work. Just upside down towers aren't possible. Or not the way you would think they are possible, but they don't make sense. They don't work the way you would think they would. As some would say, not working as intended. Alright, so now it's time to get into the second area, which is probably the more controversial area of this place. Well, controversial, it's not controversial, it's not like there are any topics that should not be addressed in there, but it's just an annoying place to be. It's fun to battle in there, but it's just difficult. And I'm making a huge mistake here. Don't use your plane. Don't. Normally I would advise, hey, use your planes to distract enemy towers, but in this case, don't. Just don't do it. Because you'll see why. As you can see, over here there are heat-seeking towers, and they shoot automatically too, which is interesting because you're able to do that. It's nice. They're really threatening and dangerous. Anyway, so you may have seen it, but in the first level there's a friendly tower, in fact, on the Krypton Market that also has that heat-seeking tower. That's a friendly tower assisting you. It's really interesting, it makes it really fun. But as you can see, we're not even at the navigation point yet, and practically none of my towers are standing. So you can clearly see that I've made a mistake. This is beatable. This is absolutely beatable. And as you can see here, the armor value of this particular tower is clearly visible. Those projectile towers are not able to damage it in any way, while normally they would be able to. You can see my towers aiming backwards, and that's the main thing about it. There's also a tower still left over there, the floating one. And that's the mistake I made. I did not destroy enough towers in that layer. And that makes the towers point backwards. So one tip I can give you is, make sure you destroy all the enemy towers in that layer, or at least most of them, because you'll have a hard time playing if you don't do that. Now there are a lot of towers over here, but it's hard to tell you about them. You can see a few in the distance over there. It's hard to talk about them when you can't, how would I say it? I mean, I'm not really close to the tower, so it's hard to say what they're all about and what they use, why they're so good. I can say a few things about this middle island. There are a few towers on it. There are also a few shark hangars on it. Weaker planes, but they are annoying enough. And there are also 3 artifacts on there. One is really useful, the other 2 are gun towers that are also well, probably pretty useful. As you can see, we've got some lovely enemy islands that are joining us now, so those are really threatening and dangerous. They will provide the additional enemy hangars you need to fight, so obviously it's going really well for me. You can clearly see that my island is clearly very well populated. Lots of friendly towers left and everything. Totally able to take out the enemy like this. Not so much. Alright. You can slowly see that the island is crippling over here. There's not much left on my island except that one, which is currently blown up. And now you can hear more dramatic music, and that is going to be a serious problem. It will be a serious problem if you're doing well. It's also a serious problem when you're not doing well. But usually there's no way back when you're not doing well and that island shows up. It's pretty much death. Right now I'm panicking because I know that I'm pretty much screwed up here. There's literally nothing I can do because there are towers fighting from behind me. They're shooting at me there. All my towers are aiming backward, and then you got that guy. So, some of you will know that in the game there's the cannon that allows you to destroy the bombers, the big bombers. Well, there's also a sentinel version of that that shoots really slowly. You could just see the large projectile coming in. That one, while it shoots really slowly, it deals a ton of damage. You can see my lighthouse being on fire. And, oh, that's it. That is it. I have been taken out by my own level. It's terrible. So yeah. Now we're going to do it correctly. And I'm talking a lot because it's just interesting to see what I did. I made a huge mistake, and I'm doing the same thing over here. Well, I'm quickly going to realize what the mistake is. You'll see that I'm going back in with the plane, hoping to keep the plane I'm trying to keep the plane alive as long as possible. But I'm noticing a big mistake, and that is, as soon as I leave here, I see that one tower was alive. And I realize, like, why am I actually trying this? There's no point in this. So, let's load this up again, and do this appropriately. Let's do it the correct way. So as you can see, I used my plane, but I'm not controlling it, so it's coming out already. And it will be distracting the enemy towers soon. But I myself am controlling one of my side towers here to deal as much damage as possible. And you can see that most of the towers are being taken out now. I'm controlling them manually, and I'm doing pretty well here. I'm taking out most of the towers I can see or come across. I'm assisting the other side as well. I know that on the right side of my island, the AI will have failed to take out one or two, but that's okay because most of them are down, and that helps me a little bit in this area. As you can see, we are still taking heavy fire from that new island over here. It is not as armed as the other one from Area 1, but then again there are plenty of towers on the side. You can see all the bullets flying. Now, those are the template gun towers, and they actually have a really weak turret in the main game, but I've tweaked it that it uses the turret of John. It uses the level 1 John Tower turret, which means that it shoots more bullets and really accurately. And then there's another turret connected to it, but that just makes a nice sound because the turret of John is really silent, so you don't hear it. Here's an example. So those loud bullets, or those loud gun sounds, those are the other turret that is not visible. It isn't really dealing any damage, but it's just there for show, basically. Interestingly enough, it's tweaked in such a way that this tower will not be able to reach the side on the right, but it can reach on the left. So I don't know why that is. I know I made it symmetrical. Epic fail, by the way. Bing! I only got 2 of the artifacts. The one that I really wanted is the one I didn't get, so I have to fly another plane over there in a second. Now, you would think that John towers like those, they use bullets, so the damage isn't that significant, but there are 6 of them on each side, which means there are 12 of them firing at the same time. I'm very confused why my plane was flying around in the back there, but that will become clear soon. And here we go, we've got 6 Goliath level 2 towers. As you can see, lots of projectiles coming in. Up. And that was it. Now, you can also see this one over here, that big boy that's shooting at us. That is also a tower that would not be able to shoot automatically, but I made it in such a way that it is now firing automatically. And it deals a ton of damage too, so you have to take it down very quickly. That's why I prioritized it. To actually cover a problem from level 1, we had those lighthouses with an incredible amount of health. We fixed that, so now the island blows up whenever you destroy all the buildings on the island, and then you have to prioritize some of the buildings instead and not just blindly shoot the lighthouse. And that was Deadworker's idea. I'm not sure if I can refer to him with the first name, so I'm just saying Deadworker right now. But Deadworker had a really great idea that you'd be able to just, yeah, do that. You'd be able to just shoot the towers and blow them all up, and then script it that the island blows up when all of them are destroyed. Alright, so you can see that we're still not in a great shape, but it's better than before, because we're still not having a... Well, we don't have a burning lighthouse, at least. That's one tower gone, but I'm able to take out the cannon, at least. So both of my towers went down, but I am able to recover slightly from that. I was able to take out the cannon, which means that that's one big projectile gone. I am not doing well in the power department, however, so I have to do something else to distract enemy towers for a minute. Another issue here is that not only are there 2 very strong towers on this left island, but there are also 3 Suzy planes on top of it, 3 hangars, and they deal a ton of damage. They deal the exact same damage as Goliath's plane, except that they just don't shoot as far. But it doesn't matter because the AI never shoots far automatically with planes anyway, so it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the fact that they deal much damage, so it's very, very difficult to beat that island. But you can do it. I'm obviously going to prove it in a second. Now, there's not much else to say about it. I'm basically hoping that I can survive long enough to take that thing down. And apart from that, nothing else is happening. So here's where I'm going to quit talking again. And I'm just going to keep showing you the gameplay until we reach the next area. I'm joining in again because I'm noticing that the battle is pretty much over. Now, I think there might be a few problems with this particular area. As you can see, there's a huge struggle to keep yourself alive, and maybe the area is a bit too difficult. It could have been a bit easier, maybe, and that's the particular problem I have with this part, is that it might be a little bit too hard, maybe. But it is possible. It's not like it's impossible. I clearly did it, but it is really difficult when you don't know what you're doing right away. So it might indeed be a little bit too much and a bit too overwhelming. And that's why I said, like, this might be a controversial part, just because it's too difficult. Anyway, so there are a few things still that I need to cover. So I haven't taken out the islands yet on the left and right, but I'm working on that. You can still see the huge projectile stream on the other side of the base here. The main problem there is that if you don't destroy them, you've got no choice. I mean, you have no choice. You have to destroy them or you can't win. You can also see projectiles in the back. I'm not sure what that's all about. Well, at this point, I kind of knew what that was, but I wasn't sure what to do about it. And again, time to save. But I'm going to my plane over here because I'm noticing there's combat going on over here. Turns out that there was one tower that was not destroyed during the entire fight here when we got through this lair. But I did something stupid. I pressed the wrong button, which made the plane go into the mountain instead of turn. Oh well, it can happen. Luckily, your planes are infinite in this. As long as you can get your hangar going, as long as your hangar is active, you can keep building planes, but yeah. So, once the towers on the left and the right have been destroyed, you should be fine. You should be able to rebuild your island appropriately, just in no time. But yeah, as I'm saying, it might just be a little bit too difficult. You know, your island is not able to take out those towers with your own towers. You have to do that with planes, and they can reach you, however, and that's probably a little bit unbalanced. But as I'm saying, it is possible. I did it. I just did it. It's clearly a thing you can do. It's not impossible, but a bit unbalanced. And also the damage of those John towers, you would think that they don't do much on their own, but when there are 6 of them on each side, yes, they do quite a bit. Also to your plane, they prioritize the plane. Your plane doesn't last very long, so yeah, probably unbalanced. As you can see, these 6 Goliath towers, however, they are never able to reach your island because they've got the base island here in the middle that's in the way, so your island is safe, no problem. But you have to take them out because there will be a navigation point within their range, and if you don't take those out, then your island is toast in a few seconds. I mean, you can probably assume that it's really bad for your own island because they're really deadly, and if there are 6 of them, then yes, you will die very quickly. So yeah, don't just assume that you can keep them alive because whatever, they'll not be able to reach you. They will. Now, interestingly enough, and this is a bit of a developer commentary here that only I know at this point, you have to go around the island in the middle. You can't go under it, or well, you can if you go far enough under or above with the navigation points. But for whatever reason, when we got too close with our own islands, when the navigation points weren't positioned appropriately, or in the correct location, then the island wouldn't move anymore. Our own island would just stop moving. So apparently there's a barrier around this particular island that you can't get too close to, or your island will just stop and it will no longer be able to move. Weird, we thought, but we fixed it by going on. We put a navigation point to the left, and then one on the left entrance over there where we're aiming right now. And then we're just leaving there, so I'll come right back to you when we reach that point. Okay, so we're finally here, and we're saving again just because we have to. And now it's time to move on and leave through this exit. You can see that additional islands have spawned in the back. You may have been able to see it, maybe not, but here we've got the next area, and this is the last particular area for this level. Again, with a few questions you could ask yourself. It's like, what about this and this and this? But let's see how long we got into this video. That's still a lot of... There's still 17 minutes left, so you can see that the battles take much longer. This particular level is a lot of endurance. You have to fight a lot of enemies at once, and it takes you quite a while. Might be a bit too long. Again, it's just a little bit of a balance here and there that we have to tweak in the next levels, but oh well. Again, there was an enemy rocket tower that deals a lot of damage, so I took that one out first. I got killed by something really quickly. I don't know what that was, but it happened. In this case, you can see that there are two shields, and there are generators in the middle island to your right over there. You can see that. You have to take those out to just get rid of the shields, and then you can destroy the hangars inside of the shields. So as long as you don't take out the shields, you'll be attacked by planes, and you cannot stop them because they'll keep coming at you. It's important to know too that there's a bomber hangar in there. So whenever you think that a bomber might be coming out, you better keep a plane ready because your own towers will not be able to take those out. You have to crash a plane into them. That is the extra challenge here. If you don't take out the generators in time, you'll have to deal with bombers. So every time a bomber comes out, you can only take it down by crashing into it. So the faster you take out the enemy generators, the faster you can get rid of the bomber hangar, and that one will give you fewer problems then. But oh well. You can also see that there are quite a few planes to begin with. There are a lot of sharks and a few Stukas flying around. That is just to keep you busy. Obviously, it makes it a little bit harder. There are also a few towers here and there, which will also, well, annoy your own planes and towers a little bit. So you can see I'm prioritizing the generators, even though there are a few towers attacking my own plane. Now, the towers that are protecting the generators on that middle island are all Goliath towers, level 1s and 2s. Actually, not 2s, I think only 1 and 3s, because their range is limited, and I wanted to keep it that way because otherwise those level 2s would be able to reach your island, and your island would go down very quickly. That would be overpowered. That would just not be possible anymore. Because as you can see, these level 1s, they're not able to reach your island from that distance, luckily enough. So these are no threat to your island, but they are a threat to your planes, because your own gun towers will also not be able to reach the generators. There's also one in a hidden spot. And here we go. There was a bomber. As I said, you have to keep a plane ready whenever you think a plane or a bomber might be coming out, because right there, I was right. I guessed right. The bomber was definitely coming out around that time, so I kept my plane alive. Now it's a great addition too to have a Susie plane, because that's the additional artifact you got. There are 3 of them in this level you get, and that's one of them. It's really helpful because it's much better than the beginning planes you get alongside the Goliath plane in level 1. Might as well just use it. It's a blue artifact, so when the hangar goes down, that doesn't matter, you can rebuild it. The 2 other gun towers you got are red, however, and that is because, well, they're quite powerful and we're not sure what to do with them, so we kept it that way. It might be possible that, you know, there might be more towers of those that you get in level 3 and 4, but they might be blue instead because, well, it might be more balanced in that way. But for now, those are not really balanced, so it would be better to keep them red and actually make you fight for them. I didn't even build them because of that reason, so... And this particular one, that generator I just crashed my plane into, the generator isn't down because, as you can clearly see, the shields are still up, but I crashed into it because I had hoped that it would take it down. The main thing is that this one's difficult to get to because you have to fly behind the enemy, and that's the extra challenge for that generator. But finally, we've been able to take out the generators, and also on top of that, a navigation point has been unlocked, so you can see that usually with generators, that's usually where you get these navigation points. And I've obviously prioritized the bomber hangar, so now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Sometimes I crash my plane into the enemy enemy buildings because it deals extra damage, and then usually the building will be destroyed. But as you can tell, when you leave your island for a little bit too long, then you can see that your entire island gets blown up like this, and you cannot leave your island unattended for too long. And I did that. I left it unattended for too long. sadly, so we're about to fix that with building our towers back up. Yeah. Alright. I'm actually cycling through my buildings because I'm hoping I can select a plane. I want a plane. There we go. It is wise to destroy all the enemy gun towers, by the way. Even though they might not be able to reach you, they will be able to reach you when you move to the next navigation point. And they're so deadly that it's better to take them out. I'm basically cleaning up this part, so I'm again going to be silent for a little bit until we reach the next area. Alright, so we finally beaten this particular area. And here I was confused because it allowed me to go this way and then also to the right. So that might be a bug. There might be a slight bug with the navigation system here. This one is meant to get closer. I forgot about that, but it's better not to use it because it's actually more deadly. There will be enemy towers within range of your island. You don't want that. Uh-oh, more dramatic music. So now we are going to the epic enemy fortress that is practically impossible to defeat. But you don't have to. The enemy towers are usually not within range of your island. They're just there to annoy your planes, because you have to destroy the generators. And again, this is probably one of those questionable areas where you can think like, why put this in there if you don't have to destroy everything? But that's exactly it. There's kind of a way to explain that. So it's especially important to destroy these four over here, these four towers on that one bar of that island. Also, there will be bombers attacking you, just saying, but oh well. That's not a big deal now, is it? But now, as you can see, they're within range, so it's important to take those down. They'll be able to deal a lot of damage if you keep them unattended. Just like that. There we go. So they're down. I believe that every 30 seconds, when you destroy the last bomber of that squadron you saw, there will be another squadron attacking you. They're not impossible to defeat. Those bombers will actually be destructible, so I tweaked those. Yeah, we actually tweaked their health a little bit so they are defeatable, because otherwise there's no point to have those bombers. They would just destroy you every time anyway. And it's not, there's no time to have a plane ready every time to destroy that big bomber. There's no way. That would be impossible. Literally impossible. That's just not. That would be completely impossible to beat, so we didn't do it that way. Yeah, as you can see, I'm able to take down the bomber pretty easily, but you have to defeat them, because if you don't, then your entire island blows up, and yeah, that's not very good. You don't want that. As you can see, a lot is happening right now, because my lighthouse is actually on fire at the moment. As you can see, yeah, it is burning, so it's not very good. I should probably fix that, but why am I not doing that here? You would think I'm repairing it, but... or as soon as I can, but I may have just not noticed it at that point. There were already buildings on fire, and I thought, hey, might as well just repair that. And as you can see, yet again, we've got additional planes coming in, and luckily, these are destructible, so that's what I'm saying. You can definitely tweak enemy planes in a way that you can still take them out, while normally that's not possible. The generators as well, they have a lower health value, because as you can see, there are so many enemy powerful towers over there that it's not really fair to have them with the normal standard health that we gave every other generator and tower. That would not be fair. It would just be impossible to do. The towers with the, or like the template gun towers with the John turret, they are making a return, as you can see, so lots of damage. There's lots of damage is being dealt to our planes by heat-seeking towers. There are the cannons over there. There are Goliath towers. There are hangars. There are all kinds of things that can take them down very, very fast. That's why you only have to prioritize the generators, because it would take you hours to defeat this fortress. Most likely. It would not take you hours, literally, but you know what I mean. It would take you too long. So the objective is just to get all the generators. And it's interesting, we actually dug in a few generators too, so you have to keep an eye out for where you have to go with your plane. I mean, I'm taking them out in a second, you'll see where they are, but it's safe to say that they are heavily guarded. Is that a good thing to say? Like most things in these levels, apparently. Yeah, as you can see, there are towers everywhere on top and down there, and I'm taking out quite a few generators every run. But yeah, it's mostly dodging enemy projectiles, because that's what I'm saying. There are 3 or 4 heat-seeking towers up there. There's a cannon in the middle. There's another cannon somewhere else closer to your island. There are machine guns everywhere, so it would literally be unfair to do it that way. If you have to destroy every tower on this island, you'd be dead. You would just be dead. At this point, I'm hoping that the enemy bomber is destroyed before it reaches my island, but luckily it is. Luckily. I've also found out that you can still dive bomb a little bit more easily, so you'll be able to take down the generators. And I think that's the last generator on the top, but there is a whole other level. There's a whole other level to this particular fortress, and as you can see, there are more rocket ones, and they take down your plane really quickly. But there are additional generators down there, dug into the fortress, and you need to use your plane for that, definitely, because there's no way for your towers to reach that. But of course, it's heavily guarded, and that makes it really difficult. And that's once again one of those points where it might be a bit too difficult, that it could have been balanced way better in a different way. But just right now we're learning from a mistake there, and yeah, it is probably too hard. It's probably too hard. The same thing with the fortress, I'm saying. You don't have to destroy the buildings for that particular reason. That would be too difficult. But maybe we could tweak it in a way and say, like, well, if it is too difficult, maybe you could tweak the level in a different way, and then it would be possible to defeat everything and move on. But that's not the case right now, so... Although one could argue that it's not necessary to take out the fortress, because basically what you're trying to do in the storyline is you're trying to reach the nearest fortress and get reinforcements. It's not that you have to take out the entire enemy fortress, or like this. You have to take out the enemy territory on your own. So technically, in this case, it would be valid to say, well, not everything has to be destroyed. But we've been doing that pretty much throughout the entire level anyway, so why would this one just be excluded from that? Why would this one have to survive then? But, oh well, it is like this, and we're not tweaking it anymore because that would take very long to do. It's not really necessary. It works as it works, that's the most important. The level works, and that's good. Alright. So I'm getting close to destroying the last generators, but as you can see, these bombers are definitely giving me trouble. I have to continuously focus on them, and here I panicked a little bit because my plane went down somehow without breaking the bomber, but I was able to save it. Now you may be thinking, why are there so many enemy planes flying around? There's only 3 bombers, but yes, there are plenty of hangars on top there, who are also, which are also launching those sharks at you, so plenty of enemies. And I'm trying to find an interesting way to attack these generators. As you can see, there's so many of them that your plane goes down really quickly. That one is the last one, I believe. So we're almost done. We're almost there. We can finally move on. Look at that. Nav point available. Finally. So we are able to finally move on. But you'll see that it's still a little bit of a threat to move on, because there are enemy towers down there that can reach your island this time. And I also made a mistake. I'm also lagging a little bit. For whatever reason, my recording started to lag at this point. That might be just because of how much stuff is going on, but I did not know that. I didn't understand why that was happening, so my apologies for the lag, okay? My apologies for the skipping. And I don't know how I didn't notice the bombers coming in. I'm like, what? Bombers? And I was too late to respond. I don't know what I was doing. And this bomber right here is going to deliver some ordnance that took down my navigation tower. And then those towers over there are within range. I'm trying to focus them down. One is dead. However, there will be one that takes out that one, and then that one, and then that one. So you can see, if you don't take them out in time, they'll be able to deal a lot of damage. And my lighthouse almost got destroyed too. That one bomber run, that was not my best day. My island had seen better days, okay? But oh well. Luckily enough, some of my planes survived. Or actually both of my planes survived. So that's good. I don't really know what I was doing here because I was like, okay, I finished it, but I just can't move in because there's a tower in the way. So I decided to go for it. I really rushed it. I did not rebuild my gun towers because I just didn't feel like I had to. It was a gamble because what if I had to? Then my island would have been blown up again and I would have gone through that entire fortress scenario again. But I'm still trying to destroy these, but as you can see, there's no point. They take you down too quickly. So I just said, you know what? Let's go for it. And that's pretty much the end of the first 2 levels of the Krypton Market. And I thank you all for watching, and hopefully soon I'll be able to deliver more levels to you. Download link in the description, and make sure you have the installation procedure.